Hello, I'm Jeffrey Boker, and I'm representing Parade Rest, Virginia. We're here today to interview a World War II veteran, Mr. James Bingler. This is part of the Veterans History Project conducted by the Library of Congress. The date is September 3rd, 2015. We are doing this interview at Mr. Bingler's home. With us operating the camera is Tyler Lystash, and also with us is Rhonda Quillen, someone that you consider your adopted daughter. We're going to begin now, sir, if you're ready.
Yes, sir.
Okay, please state your full name.
My full name is James Thomas Bingler, B-I-N-G-L-E-R, 303 Alderman Road, Charlottesville, Virginia, 22901.
And what do you have a nickname?
I have a nickname since I was about 6 years old called Monk,
And how'd you get that nickname?
because I climbed a bit the school teacher and she tried to catch me, and I ran down at Denver School on 14th Street, climbed the flagpole, jumped over in the top of the tree, and none of them could get me. From that day on, I've been called Monk. I wished I hadn't a bit to teach it by the time my daddy and my mother and the teacher whipped me, all of them. So I've been a bad boy.
So the monk was short for monkey of your ability to climb the tree?
That is correct, and it paid off in a war.
Yes, we will get to that. When were you born?
I was born July the 8th, 1924. I was born on Chur Avenue, 1113. I weighed 2.5 pounds, they said.
And that was in Charlottesville, Virginia?
In Charlottesville, Virginia.
What were your parents' names?
My father was W.R. Bingler, W.R. Bingler. My mother's name was Florence Alberta Bingler. And we lived at 1113 Chur Avenue.
What was your father's first name?
William.
William. And what was his occupation?
He was a master plumber.
Okay.
And heating.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I'm from a family of about 9. I'm third down. Waverly, biggest, is my half sister. She's the oldest. My mother and father both was married twice, and then my brother, W.R. Bingler Jr. Then I come in. Then James T. Bingler. I had then a brother Johnny who died right after childbirth. Then I have 2 sisters, Mildred and Alice, and I have 3 other brothers, Joe, David, and Hugh. And Johnny was the one who had died.
Did any of your brothers or sisters serve in the military?
Yes, all of them.
All of them?
Not my sisters, but my brother. We called him Peanut because he liked peanut butter jam sandwich, and he got that nickname in the Navy. And he was in the Navy and a deep sea diver and a welder and he served in Japan. And one time we were closer together when he was in Japan. I was fighting over in Germany, and he was a ship fitter. And then Joe was a school teacher, which a physical education coach, football and basketball, and baseball. And I had a brother, David, who run track and done good, and he become a police officer. And I have a brother, Hugh, was a salesman for automobile parts on it.
Did all of your brothers serve during World War II?
Yes, all of them. My brother Peanut was in the R Division in Pittsburgh, I think it was. I'm not sure what ship it was, but he was in it. His ship lost 100 foot off his bow, and he was on the bow. And he stayed, and they brought it back in Seattle. And my brother Joe was some kind of officer in the military, but he was, I don't know exactly, he went all over the place. but he was a college graduate, and at that time the war was about over with. My brother David, he was in the military, and he went over to England, and I never did find out what his was doing, but I know he was in the military. And Hugh was too young to be.
Right before you joined the military, where were you living and what were you doing?
Well, I was born on Shure Avenue, 1113 Shure Avenue. I weighed 2.5 pounds. They said I wouldn't make it. My dad said he could put me in his hand, but he carried me around in his hat. And then went to Shure Avenue. There wasn't what it is today. And we walked to school. I went to Bingler School on 14th Street. And I had to milk cows in the morning, come home, 6 cows every morning, 3 for the Fife family and 3 for us, because after all it was 9 of us. And we had to have milk and stuff to eat. So my job was to milk the cows, and I milked the other 3 cows, which paid for the storage and stuff for our 3 cows to eat. And that we had milk, and my mother was a homemaker. And we all lived there at home on Shure Avenue, and the house is still there that I was born in.
Did you help your father with the plumbing?
Yes,
business?
I worked with help my father because he was in an accident, and man hit him. He lost his legs, and I got my master's plumber's license when I was 12 years old. And back in those days, you had to wipe lead to lead, lead on brass. It was pretty tough, but me, I wanted to do things right. And they taught me, says, how in the world did you do it? Because I had God on my side.
You were telling us when we talked before the interview that they tried to deny you your plumber's license. Is
yes,
that right?
I got my plumber's license at 12 years old, and they refused to give it to me. And my daddy said, age don't make no difference. He says he got the papers right here, and we got a lawyer here to verify that. But they didn't want to give it to me, and Packen said, well, we'll see you in court. So he was my attorney. They gave me my plumber's license at 12 years old.
Do you remember where you were when you heard about Pearl Harbor?
Sir, no, I cannot tell you. Only thing I know, I was working, doing something, because I worked after school. I didn't play sports. I love to have played. I played some, but I had to help support, like my brother and sister, Waverly. We helped support the other 5 down. And I was working in the bakery, cutting grass, hauling wood out the woods, which was over there now where, if you know Shawfield Johnson School, we brought wood in at nights, cut it up, and sold it for a nickel a log, and supplied it. And we was the only place that my father had put plumbing and heating in the 5-bedroom house. You want to call it, we all slept together like we close. We ate in the basement, and that's how I made extra money, and also supplied the fuel for our house. And if I sold something, we had some money that we could buy an extra loaf of bread. And I went to work for the university back out in the summertime, making a nickel an hour.
Well, this was for the University of Virginia?
University of Virginia. But when I got the job, they didn't actually hire me. My uncles and kinfolks there, we all worked there together, and they were all in university, and they let me be the water boy a lot of time on jobs at the university, and I'm still working at the university, even though I was in World War II. Now, we're still working for the university in the athletic department.
And what do you do for them?
Huh?
What do you do now today?
Well, I'm an assistant head usher of people like going to find the seats. Used to be in charge of ticket, but now they broke off on their own. But we was like making sure people got in the right seats, down on the floor, getting the teams out, getting the officials out. That's in basketball. In football, we would run a chain gang and making sure the referee gets in the right place. A little bit of everything. It ain't much change in that, except it's a long day.
Yes, sir. Well, let's go back to your service in World War II. And did you enlist or were you drafted?
I was drafted for this reason here. I would have graduated from, we call it Lane High School, and that year, but I was drafted. I wasn't drafted because I volunteered, because my brother, W.W. Bingler Jr., was more capable of helping put food on the table for the other 7 at home. And so I took his place. And I went down to Fort Lee. I was been a senior and graduated from high school that year. But in February they took me out. But I would have graduated from we called Midway building at that time, and from there I went to Fort Lee.
So what year then did you enter the Army?
I think it's about 43. Yeah, 43. Yeah, it's 1943.
And I'm just curious about how you said you went in for your brother. Was your brother drafted, and did you volunteer to take his place, or
yes.
How did that happen?
He was drafted, then I took his place, and then later on, a year later, he was drafted and went into the Navy, and he was on the ship that lost his bow in Japan in the Navy. He's since has passed on, but he had a very interesting life. When he was riding that bow, and it broke off the ship, and it was going up and down, they finally got him back on the main ship. He talked about that. And he was in the R division.
So you were drafted into you went into the Army, and you said you went to Fort Lee. Was that the first place you went for training?
That's where I was inducted. And they sent me down to Camp Van Dorn, Mississippi. And that's down, and they were just building that when I got down there. And that's down there, and that's in Macomb, Mississippi. And you could lay in the barracks there. They didn't have but 2 of them built, and we'd slept on the ground for about 4 months. But we was training. They bring all new soldiers in, trainers, and I walked all over Mississippi and Louisiana because I was in the infantry, the 99th Checkerboard Division. The C coming up with 394th Infantry Regiment, and we walked and trained. They taught us how to night fight and all other dirty kind of training.
So taught you how to fight at night, did you say, or night?
Yes, how to fight at night. You may be behind the lines. You didn't know the passwords in a wall or anywhere. And we had one neutral thing, a snapper. Go click, 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 you would think. But our thing was a click. That's the way they could tell you was American. Because the Germans get that thing, they go click, 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 click. They knew that was the enemy.
What were you clicking?
A little snapper they give us. And that's how you could tell when you was out behind the lines in the war. We never know which place they would come in. It could be the British right next to us. It could be most anything. But the way we know the password, it could be baloney for as they're concerned. But if you hit that snapper, and the infantry, especially in the combat, you hit that snapper, they knew that one time, you just say click, then you wait a minute. And then they knew there's a friendly soldier out there. So that's where you could get back between the lines. And I fought a lot between the lines. I think I stayed more behind the lines than I did in front of it.
Let's. I want to go back to your training a little bit. Did you have any trouble adjusting to Army life?
Well, sir, I've been used to working all my life. I'm still working. I'm 91 years old. But I enjoy working with people, making them happy. You know, give them a smile, they can't fuss at you on it. And don't be a hard nose. Be a friendly person. And learn the plumbing trade. And plumbing trade, you have to work metal, lead, brass, make P-traps and every sort of thing. And I passed the test, and they didn't want to give it to me, my master's license. And my father, they said, he's too young. He's only 12 years old. He can't get it. And my dad had a Paxton, a lawyer there. I said, well, you want to see you in court, we give it to him. He's all everything in here in black and white. He passed it, the board passed him. Age has nothing to do with this, the knowledge. So that's how I got my plumber's license.
Yes, sir.
And I still have it today. And I'm 91 years old.
When you were in training, you were training as an infantryman, but you got a weapons assignment at some point, right?
That is correct. I first went in, they gave me a rifle, trained. Then I graduated from that, they gave me a BAR. That's a round of 8 with a clip. I didn't like that, so they put me in a machine gun. And if people understand the military, I was at the 99th Division in the checkerboard of 394th Infantry Regiment. I was put with a weapon platoon, which we had 2 machine guns and 60 millimeter mortars. And that for the whole company.
Why didn't you like the BAR?
It was heavy, and no way to carry it. But in the issue in the American side before the war, you carried the machine gun, and one assistant gunner, he carried a tripod, and the other 3 carried the ammunition. So that's the reason. But we all had, the one carried the ammunition had a, I think what's the name of it, a little small gun.
Carbine?
Carbine, yes, thank you, sir. The carbine. We all had that. And the gunners had, and we all carried bayonets on our side. And they were sharp like razors. And believe you me, it paid off more than once. But they tell you how, they give me training how to dodge and how quick to dig a hole. And that was all in basic training down in Camp Van Dorn, Mississippi. And we walked all over Mississippi. Even they sent us for a special training camp, Max, at Hugo, Oklahoma, out near that, but it was in Texas.
And what was that special training about?
Well, for soldiers to be behind the lines and right on the front lines. And we give a good example of it. It paid off because you knew how to night fight, you knew how to hide, and a little bit of everything. You climbed trees, you dug holes, you climbed under, and the safest place to be is beside a tree, because tanks won't run but so close to a tree. And if you're in the snowy weather, You always couldn't carry all your stuff with you, but you always carried your utensil. You could have one. And I picked a knife. You would think, no, I picked a spoon. The reason I picked a spoon was you could sharpen it up on the side and be a knife. You could bring it to a point and be a fork. And then if you had soup, you've got a spoon you can eat it with. And then if you have to dig, it can get you. And I have used my utensil sometimes to help dig a hole because it's got a rock down in there and you couldn't get your fingers, and you could clean it out there, and before you can get your fingers, then you're digging your foxhole. And anybody says, well, I wouldn't dig one. When bullets gets flying around you, you'll dig one real quick. You'll lay low anyhow. So,
I'm curious, how deep did you usually dig your foxhole?
well, on a machine gun, we dug it about 18 to 2 foot wide and 4 foot long, because there's two of you, actually 3 of you down in that hole.
And how deep would you go?
Well, we try to dig about 6 foot and we have steps on it, so when we got the machine gun, we'd have a tripod set already there, but if it didn't, we set that up first and then put the gun on it. Don't hope we ain't nobody in front of you, because the first thing you do, you click off the burst of it. No, but they didn't. This alcohol didn't weigh about 65 pounds. You get used to carrying it, don't you?
Yes, so I wanted to ask you about, just to confirm your personal equipment. So you were a 30 caliber machine gunner, is that correct?
I started out as a ammunition carrier, and then as he got wounded, we all was trained, whether you're ammunition barrier, your assistant gunner which carried a tripod, or was you the head machine gunner. We all was given training. At least I was in our company, and we was on air-cooled Browning, 30 caliber Browning air-cooled, and I learned on the selling in front lines what I'd done.
Yes, sir.
On this thing, I made me a tripod like a BAR. Forget the tripod, that's the heavy thing, because when you fall with the thing, with the machine gun, sometimes that means life or death. And because when you fall, you roll, and then when you roll over and you have a tripod, and you raised up, you was ready to fall. Well, you was like a BAR, only we had 25 rounds on a clip. We had it belt. They only had 8 on the BAR. So, and that's what taught me to make that tripod. Because now I don't have to worry about the tripod when you're on the wall. You have the gun, and it's heavy, and you fall and roll with it. It's roll to the right, roll to the left. But as soon as you hit the ground, you roll, and when you, on the second roll, you had a gun, and what is 20 rounds of ammunition, you got somebody in front of you.
So you modified the gun and you attached a tripod. Where did you attach it? Where did you put this tripod that you made?
But I made it out of metal. And made it because, see, I used to working with metal in the plumbing business, and I made it so I could make it just like a BAR. And say it was alcohol. You don't touch that barrel get as red as a hot iron, and it glows. And you don't want to touch that. And that's, see, in the tripod, you're carrying it, and you're ready to shoot. You see, but if you had it out in front of you, you could roll over. The tripod was sitting right up there, and you could shoot. You didn't have to reach for the tripod. And eventually, the gun I had, I left the tripod. I lost it somehow or another on purpose. Because there's something else. I took a man who was carrying the tripod. He carried extra ammunition as well. He made sure. And when you're doing that, they think they know where you landed at. You never landed rolling one way or the other. You fall forward, but you roll. You can't roll with a machine gun if you got the tripod. Ain't got that. But when you got that part like on a BAR, you can roll and turn with it, and when you're ready to fire it was setting up there waiting for you.
Now you mentioned that the machine gun that you manned was belt fed, correct?
Yes, it was a 30 caliber Browning air-cooled.
And you said you modified the belts by cutting them into sections. Tell us about that.
Well, you wasn't supposed to, but I did, because you cut a belt, you can fire 15 to 20 rounds before you can take your hand off the trigger. And you can maneuver around and you could carry it. By the time we did that on mine, other people didn't do it. They didn't have to. I guess I didn't talk to any other machine gunners. And the reason I done it was because I didn't know where I was going to be at. I'd been fighting in snow, fighting in dry weather, fighting in freezing rain, all that. And you had gloves, you said, you had socks on your hands. And you cut a finger hole for your finger where you get it on the trigger. And I was always fortunate enough, period, that when you hit the ground, you're ready to fire. And I'm sorry to say this, I was looking at it from Bingler first. And another thing you'll learn when you get in combat like that, you got one person there that you love. That's called, you can call him your master, you can call him your savior, you can call him God. I call him God and Jesus with me. And I have felt him beside me on the wall more than once, because God is on your left hand, on your right hand side. He has a hot warm. And Jesus is on your left hand side. He's warm. And that's when you know when you have both of them with you, or just one of them or none of them. And I try to tell the soldiers coming over there, when they're coming on the front line, that, and I had atheists in the hold with me, and they could say, "Hey, Bing, would you pray to your God and ask him to give me some help? My God is not answering me, but your God's answering you." So it don't take long to take an atheist, and on the front line, he learned about God and Jesus, how powerful they are. And I've had him by my side more than once. And scared? Yes, I've been scared. But you get so crazy. And how you get that crazy is this way. You're going on the front line, you've got all that training in your mind, what to do and not do. But once you see them shoot your buddy, that makes you mentally, excuse my language, nuts. You don't care. You want somebody to shot your buddy, you're going to shoot him back. And you shoot it to save your own self too. But also you don't shoot it and give your position away either. You have to learn how to run and crawl and walk with it. And they don't teach you that. But the worst thing about when you come back home, the government teach you how to kill, but they don't teach you how to get over it. But if you have your God, or whatever you want to call him, and there's only one God in Jesus, but there's many denominations, whether it's Catholic, Protestant, Methodist, Episcopalian, or any of it. They all believe in that, and that's what makes life so nice. And if you want to make sure you got God on your side, you get up on the front line, they firing at you. And I've been into that numerous of times. I've been frozen like a hunk of ice because I got on 5 jackets, and if it's raining and sleeting, It stick to the trees. Why won't it stick to you? And it did, and you get frozen. You got that jacket. You got to have somebody help you because it's frozen, especially at night. So much for that. I'm here, and I still have frozen hands and frozen feet, but I don't complain because God brought me home. That's a little bit of it anyhow. There's been a lot of battles over there. Did you want to know anything about the battles?
Yes, sir. We're going to get to that. Yeah. Can I? One small thing that you mentioned before we started interviewing, and you just sort of referred to a little bit, which was you tried not to give your position away, and I think you said something about modifying your ammunition to prevent that with the tracers. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. This was against the law, I guess, but when you're fighting for your life, what's law? I took the belts instead of having them big belts. I took them and cut it in half from 20 to 25 and cut it whole, and I take the tracers out of it and put a live bullet. I know where I'm shooting at. I don't want them to know where I'm shooting at, because that tracer would give you away. And that also gave me another bullet that I maybe can make the German drop down or get out the way. And you don't realize that belt, you can carry that on you when you're carrying a machine gun. But you have ammunition barriers. Now, what I done when we had a break, I would take a tracer out and put a live bullet in its place. And they couldn't understand, but you don't realize how fast you can shoot 25 rounds before you can say, oh, you're gone.
And that's what you cut your belts into 25 round pieces.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, and see, that ammunition, you carried that in a gun, and you had your system gunner ready to give it to you too. Even though nothing on my records will show that I was a machine gunner. I was just a rifleman. But when something happened, you pick up your guns. And then the thing of it was, you didn't know who's going to be the machine gunner, who's going to be that. We worked as a team, and as far as that concerned.
Did you ever face a German machine gun, the MG-42?
Well, that's how I got wounded. That's what they say. They say that the German had a burp gun, and where you can tell the difference between a burp gun, that's a German machine gun, and an American gun is an American gun goes da 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 da, and a German machine gun goes burp, 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 and goes up. You control it. American, you control the machine gun. The burp gun, the machine gun of the German, there's a plan to do, and it starts low and goes up. If they hit you with one bullet, it'll make a sift out of you. So, but if you don't hit your first bullet, you got a chance to still survive. And I've seen that happen many a time, and I'm not proud of it. And I was scared, but you get so scared you don't give a hoot. And that's when life gets crazy. Sometimes you have to calm your body down. And I had an atheist in a hole with me up on the front line. He said, Bing, would you ask your God to help me? I said, Henry, you're an atheist. He says, yeah, my God ain't doing nothing for me. Your God's saving your life and you're saving mine. So you show me an atheist and been on the front line 5 minutes, he'll be a Christian. And it's nice to know Christians is how you feel in your heart. I know the Bible says this, and but there's only one God and one Jesus, but it's many denominations. Don't criticize what the other person believes in. They have their rights the same as you have yours, and I always do it. And I always greet a person with a smile on my face. because I can't argue it. I may want to call you SB, but I'll have a smile on my face.
Did you, your faith helped you face the stress of combat? Did you see anyone who the stress of combat broke them, or that they just couldn't function anymore?
Did I see what?
Well, did you see anyone who just under the stress of combat couldn't function anymore?
Yes. Yes, I have. In combat, let me say this, is you fighting for your life. You go completely nuts because I don't like to kill. That person, I don't care, he is a German or what. He has a mother and father too. But you have to forget that, because he could kill you as well as you got to kill him. And so some of the battle, I wonder how I come out of it. And the best thing I know happened to me, and I think the reason I'm here today to talk to you, I was outside of Liege, Belgium, and it was cold out there, and I was cold, and I says, how in the world do y'all drink this stuff? I said, I'm cold. And they say, oh, this whiskey will make you warm. And I said, give me some. So they give some. Yeah, it made me warm. It made me crazy because I was up there jumping up and down in the snow, and all of a sudden bullets started flying around at me. And I said, God, if you will get me out of this mess, I'll never touch another drop. I got out of it in Belgium, and I asked the captain, Graham, can I go back to the churchyard, which is about a half mile back, and I want to pray. That's when I give my heart and soul to God. And I've been that way. He kept his promise, and I'm keeping mine. You all can drink all you want to. I carried in my house for people if they want to drink, but I made a promise to God because I was drunk on the front lines, and he saved me. And I kept that from that day to this, and I'm 91 years old. If you want a drink, I can give you a drink now. I'll give you the bottle. You're going to have to pour it. I don't pour it. And I have nothing wrong with it if you use it the right way. But I've seen so many people drink it on the front lines and go nuts too. That's how some of them got killed, because they thought they couldn't be killed. You don't give your body open on the front line. You crawl a whole lot. Now I can tell you, I was up there in the Battle of the Bulge, and I'm telling you right now, that's one hell of a mess.
And I want to get to that, sir, because I know you've got a great story about that. But just in terms of your commitment to God that you made that while you were on the front lines.
That is correct.
And you went back to pray at where did you go to pray?
At Liege. I call it Liege, L-E-G-E, I think. It's about near we call it Siegfried line, where they made a hedgerow. The hedgerow and Siegfried line, in my mind, is the same thing. And way we went through people in the Siegfried line, we had tanks go and push those wire and fences down, and they would set off in the bombs going across the fields, but then we would follow up that tank in their tracks because we knew that it was a safe place. The Germans said, look at those crazy Americans over there. They walking out in the middle of the field. They should be out here in the woods hiding. Well, we knew they had booby traps out there and they was waiting for us. We walked across, at least our company did. We walked quite right across this wide open field. They wasn't zeroed in on us. And we were going behind the tanks because the tanks were setting off the bombs, these bouncing bits and all that stuff. And later on you'll see what bouncing bits do, why they got the name too. you probably know. But that was one of the things the infantrymen had to watch out for, because see, down sevens come down at you.
So the tanks would set off the anti-personnel mines, but it wouldn't hurt the tank, and then you'd walk along the track of the tank.
That is correct.
Okay.
All right.
Well, let me go back. Let me go back a little bit in time to
Okay.
when you land in Europe,
Mhm.
and you got there after D-Day. I
Oh,
believe?
yes.
Okay.
But
And-
I was in, when we landed in, this is very important because a lot of soldiers appreciated this here. We landed in Liverpool and come on down, and we came on down to Dorchester, but where I stayed at was in West Bay. It was a little village like what we would call a place about maybe 75 families, that's all. But the night while we was there, it was cold, and we could see the buzz bomb coming over the English Channel, flying over, and you couldn't hear the noise, but you could hear the noise of the buzz bomb, but you see it because no lights and that little skies coming over the English Channel. Then it wouldn't be one or two, it'd be a dozen of them going in trying to. I found out later in life they was going in bombing places in London on it. But yet we seen it. We was there for a little while, and the funnest part about that there, it was cold there too. And being a plumber, my dad had taught me, and over there we had houses we could stay in, but the house was colder. Well, being a plumber, they had gas there, but didn't know how to hook it up. I hooked it up, and I had a warm place. The officers kicked us out of it. You get another one, Bing. That's what they call me in the service, Bing. You got to get another one. We sleeping here. We pulling rank on you. They did. So that night, before the night's over with, I had a second barracks. And that. So I'm going to. We wasn't down there about 7 days, and I had fixed another one up. The sergeants said, "All right, Bing, we're going to stay in this one tonight. I fixed this heat. I'm cold. Oh, it ain't that cold out there. You got equipment. We're going to sleep in it." So they kicked me out of that one. Done the third one the same way. And I says, "I don't care if you are sergeant. Ain't nobody going to take us tonight. I'm going to sleep in it. If anybody try to kick me out, I ain't got this bayonet for nothing." Because I done got cold and tired. So they did. But while I was stationed at, we could see the buzz bomb, and we could see the white cliffs of Dover on it. Then we moved on out about a week later. We was on, maybe a little longer. Time you don't keep up with.
I'm curious, did you feel like your training, either in the States or in England, do you think it properly prepared you for actual combat?
Yes and no.
Tell us more about that.
The reason I say yes, it taught you how to survive. When you didn't have enough to eat 2 or 3 days, on front lines places I ate wild onions. I can't eat onions today because of it. I hadn't had anything to eat 2 or 3 days. The soup kitchen couldn't get up to you. Each company had their own, but they couldn't get up there because of the bombs and sometimes the weather and stuff like that. And they said, sleep over there, and you're frozen. And they taught you how to survive. And they taught you how the training taught you was asking about how do you survive. Well, I've been shot at, been run over by a tank. More people won't believe it, especially in the Bulge. And the Bulge come in, I laid up against a bank. The German tank is higher than American. By the time the track got on to me, I'd lean up against this bank like this here, against it, and the tank would be coming up here. This part there is tracks is up here and got over me because now I'm down under here like it's here. That's how you got run over. That's my buddy. He was there, both of us. This was in the Battle of the Bulge when they come to us. They come to us like a dose of Epsom salt. We had no ammunition. We knew it was coming on. And I'm telling you, when they decided to come in there, they shelled everything. And they, all of a sudden, they came, the tanks come in, and an infantryman, the SS boys were behind them. And they said in German, said, you don't need for us to waste that bullet on them. If a tank didn't kill them, they can't, our bullets can't. So we had to play dead. And then that was in the Battle of the Bulge. And we knew it was coming. We were ready for what we had. They were trying to get up thing. And what don't realize is 393rd probably had it hit worse than any of them. I was in 394th. I don't know what went on 395th, but I was stationed next to the another division. I don't know what name of it was, but their division color was red, and our patch was like a checkerboard. That's how we got the checkerboard name on it. But I'm skipping around the way, but there's things like in the Bulge. You don't try to be a dead hero. Your buddies over there, they zeroed in on him in that Bulge. You have to play dead yourself. Because they said in that when things come down, every man for himself. We already been done running ammunition. What good does a machine gun? So we destroyed that machine gun. They couldn't use it. We took a trigger housing with me, and therefore they got the gun maybe 5 miles down the road back out. I threw the clip, not clip, but the housing away. They couldn't put it together, so they used it. And I tell you, seeing what I've seen there, and they took no prisoners. And you had, like I played dead. I wasn't, and my buddy was assistant gunner thing. But I wasn't signed to be a machine gun, the head gunner. But somebody had to take it over.
Well, let me ask you. I know we're skipping around a little bit, but I want to talk about the Battle of the Bulge here that you've talked about. Where were you? What was the closest town where your unit was stationed before it started?
Where I was stationed?
Yes.
I was in I was on the front lines when the Battle of the Bulge started. I mean, we knew from the 3rd of December until they come in there. We asked for more ammunition. No, we needed backup. We heard they getting this equipment together because I've worked behind the line. They have the equipment moving in, tanks and everything in. They're going to make a big hit through here. Our company commander was asking, give us help. But they never got up there in time.
Was this before the Germans attacked?
That was before,
Was this before the Germans attacked?
Yeah.
So you knew you could tell that they were building up for an attack?
We knew a week ahead of time that they was coming through. We didn't know when and where. Because it was within a 2-mile radius. You can't see or hear that. But we was on the front lines. One division was filling for 3. And my company, we was having to be filling in for the Virginia division at the 29th. But while they had been fighting all the time from D-Day and hadn't been off the line much, and we filled in for them to give a rest. what we've set in there for is to give these other divisions a chance to get in. But we was short of ammunition, and you knew what was going on. And one thing you said, I knew we was had trouble. It's one thing you learned first up there. You learned the sound. I could tell you when the Americans' artillery was coming overhead because of the sound. I could tell which guns and ammunition, whether it was 155 or whether it was 85 mortar, whatever. The Germans was sending over as well as we were sending back. You could tell by the noise, and what it had bashed, is it going to fall short? And you heard that, you dive for the hole as fast as you can that you dug. And I've been bounced out of that hole and our own shells fell into our line because they didn't give enough powder for the 155 to go them over. They was fighting, dropping it short so it could kill the German, but sometimes they dropped it too short. But they didn't know it back in now. But us up on the front line, those infantrymen, we knew it. We could tell which was American shells and artillery, and we could tell which was the German. And when the Germans come in, sometimes you jump real fast because you know it was going to hit you. And they hit there. I said, but 100 feet away from you, it'd bounce you out of the hole, the concussion shell. Sometimes it would, and that's when you do a lot of praying.
You personally got knocked out of your hole by a shell?
And that they landed concussions. You hadn't dug your hole deeper enough. You get tired. You're cold. You're hungry. They ain't gonna bring food up there when bullets flying and shells flying all around. I'm glad we had that much sense. But we was hungry.
In the Battle of the Bulge, your unit was in the Ardennes Forest, is that?
I was with the 394th Infantry.
Were you in Luxembourg, or where were you?
Luxembourg.
Okay.
I was in the main part of it. They were on the left-hand side of them and on the right-hand side. Because C Company was over on the 39, C Company. That's what I was. But I was the 393rd Regiment on the left-hand side of me, and the 395th was on the right-hand side of it.
Tell me about, I'm going to go back to that incident where you got run over by the tank. It seems like a lot of people seeing a tank coming and not being able to do anything about it would have run.
Well, what we done, he hadn't played dead. That's the only way a lot of us lived. You didn't. Now, nightfall, you hid. Where'd you hide? I climbed a tree.
Now, when you said that every man was told it was every man for themselves,
yeah.
Who told you that?
They'd come over, the company commander told us, hollered out, pass the word on, every man for himself. Say, they'd already gone through us.
So you were behind the German lines at that point?
I'm behind the German lines, yeah.
And so they were telling everybody they just had to fend for themselves?
Yeah. Well, you got to realize you had a lot of wounded soldiers there, and you were trying to help save them. Not only was you fighting for your life, you was helping fight for them. And that's the darndest scare I ever had when they passed the word down and they hollered out, every man for himself. And those tanks are coming at us like that. We had nothing to stop. We had to play dead. And it's like I said, I played dead. Then the next day, they gone on by, well, the next day later on, they gone by, and they square. And behind the Germans' front lines, tanks and things, they had infantry soldiers, and they would shoot them in the cold blood.
Did you see that, or did you see the results of that?
Well, I know when we were after Bulge, it wasn't but our company wasn't of 150 wasn't but 17 able to come back on to war, back on the line. I was one of the 17. They recollected and done all of it. And we went back, and we was headed to the Royal River. And that's when I got wounded.
And so tell me again, you were in Company C, is that what you said?
Huh?
The unit you were in was Company C?
Yeah, of the 394th Infantry Regiment. Okay. But it was another different division over on my right. And they had, they got wiped out too, like we did. It was a red flag, I don't know. I think it was from Arkansas. I never have found out, but they were like we were. They come to them and come to us. That was the weakest part of it. But you had to play. I'm sorry, sir, but I'm here today because I played dead twice.
What was the other time you played dead?
Well, I was under, on the front lines and stuff like that there. At nightfall, you find a big tree, and that's where you put your slip at, because these tanks ain't gonna run over that big tree. And their limbs are thundered, and you can crawl under those limbs and hide, and put, if there's snow on the ground, which was, I put my tarpaulin, I crawled under that, but I had covered my tarpaulin with snow and had the Germans run right on by me.
You could hear them talking?
Huh?
Could you hear them talking?
I didn't know what they were talking about. But I didn't ask them, hey, you. But then, after they had gone on through and everything was said, we got together, and within a half a mile around, was 18 of us, and it was getting dark. We were following the Germans because we knew we didn't know what was up in front of us. We didn't know what was in back of us. And they said, every man for himself. You see.
So you were following behind the Germans?
Yeah, I fell in behind the Germans, so did all of us, the 18 of us. We fell. And the funniest part of it was I didn't have no ammunition, didn't have no machine gun. The only thing I had was a 45, and I climbed a tree. My buddy and I, my assistant gunner, we climbed about 40 feet up in the air. We had a rope with us. We tied ourselves to the trees and broke off pieces of the limbs where you wouldn't be able to tell, and camouflage yourself against a tree. In other words, that's a hunk of shell, that people thought maybe down there, I don't know, but we made it look like we was a bush up in the tree and hugged that, but we had to tie ourselves to the tree. It's too cold. And the worst part of the thing was, I was down, done tied myself in, shaking, and I had on 6 pairs of socks and a size 18 shoe, and I had socks on my hand, except I had a hole in it so I could pull the trigger. I was out and we done tied each other up, Rodney and I, and we put the limbs in through our belts and things, but you couldn't at dust, looking up, and they didn't pay attention to that. Here comes the head camp German, set the CP of the command post right under the tree I was up. And they was cooking down there, and I hadn't anything to eat for 2 days. That ought to come like that. Now, and yet you couldn't make a noise, and you were quiet, and they was down there, and thank goodness we tied ourselves to the tree, because we were so cold we would have fell out. Wow, we tied ourselves and made us part of the tree, and they fixed the limbs where they would see a limb like something had blown it off. And we could look down, they look up, they just see like the top of the tree had been blown out. That's what they said in German. So they said that cooking odor come up. But you didn't dare say anything. You couldn't talk. We kind of give us. No, they're down there. When they gone out, we'll go down. Because see, we could see, they couldn't see us.
So you were looking right down at a German command post underneath you.
Huh?
You were looking right down at a German command post
The
below
head
you.
command post of the Battle of the Bulge set up behind us. They was driving their cars, they wasn't walking. And I had to if we had to tie ourselves in, we'd have fell out of it because we didn't have no feelings in our hands. We were about 40, 50 feet in the air and up towards the top. And we made it look like we was part of maybe a thing. We could hear them talking down there in German. Next morning, about 5:30, they started cooking in. That was the head command. All the other soldiers in Germany and everything, they pulled on out. So after we got down, we couldn't see him in the distance looking that way. We looked all around, didn't see nobody. We slipped out, got untied. We couldn't hardly, his hand was so cold. And thank goodness I had the bayonet with me. We could cut the rope and slide down. And you made darn sure you had more than your hand on it. You have your arm wrapped around that limb so that your hand was so cold. Yeah, I had extra socks. I went and put extra socks. Took a warm pad and put it on my hand, then it gave me some feelings. Then that's the way I got down. I had 5 pairs of socks on my feet. I always carried an extra pair on each armpit. That was the driest place. And then my hand was so cold, I reached to the 3 Mackinaws I had on, reached back in there and got that pair dry and put it on my hand. Boy, did it feel good. And that's the way I worked myself down the tree. When I got down the tree, there was about 15 others besides Rodney and I was up at trees too. We didn't know it. They come down. They didn't know we was up there. There was 15 of us, and we followed them, and we seen them at time. Ambulance they had over there. We seen them from up in the tree. Pull out our American soldiers and wounded and shoot them in cold blood. That's a hell of a thing you have to take. You seen it. Just a minute, sir. Sure. You see them shoot your own buddies and throw them out town in the snow. And then they went on and we followed them. Catch that, Rhonda. I don't know. God was on my side. Somebody powerful. I call him God. You call him what you want to, because he brought me through the wall. And the thing, I can't express how tough it was. You see them killing your own fellows, and you had no ammunition. I had my 45 with 1 bullet in it. And that's all I had, because I didn't have a machine gun. I didn't have a carbine. We had no guns, except I had my 45. I kept my bayonet always with me. and I had like a razor blade. Never. I had to fight with it many a time. And it ain't no fun killing, I can tell you that. It gets to you right today. Anyhow, excuse me for being tore up. But we followed them. We seen the SS boys and the German pull out American soldiers out the ambulance. They were unconscious and cut the throat. Kill them. What we done, we let them go ahead, and we went over and dug holes and put the soldiers and buried them in the ground and covered them back up near this where they had a first aid station, because everybody, they didn't take no prisoners. And that's the reason when we went back, we took no prisoners. That's a hell of a way to live, because they have a mother and father too. But the thing of it is, we followed them on, and they got stopped down. We didn't know what it was. About 8 or 9 miles we have traveled in snow and following the Germans. We wasn't wading deep snow. We was following them because the tanks and the infantry and everything, they was all in front of us. But see, when we was up at trees, we could see that we stayed in the woods, the edge of the woods. But we didn't walk in there without checking it first to see whether it got a bounce and Betsy's. We set off a couple of them too. We had put a rock over them, and we got over here about 15 yards, I guess you'd call it. Not 15 yards, maybe it's exaggerating that, about 20 feet. But it felt like 15. And we dropped it and hit that bounce and bits and set it off.
You would throw rocks at them?
Yeah, we had rock tied on the rope. And over a limb over, we knew that bounce and bits. I didn't know how to discharge it, but we knew it was dangerous. So we had to set some of them off so we could get on through. Because you don't just go up there and start a fooling with it. You get your killing done in a hurry. And that's what happened too in a hurry. We lost a lot of men that way. I seen it. And some of the way I see some of the people got killed, got wounded and couldn't get help. Don't be a dead hero. That's the hell of a way you have to feel. But you have to think about yourself first. You ask God for help, and you prayed with it, and things like that there. And if you don't think I didn't pray when that tank ran over me, that shows you God, somebody more powerful than me, was on my side. Some people don't believe in God, they believe in other things. That's okay. Believe what you like to believe. That's the way I felt. Then, like I said, I went into battle in Bastogne, the 18 of us that we had accumulated was different. B company, C company, D, all of us, about 18 of us. And we got back at Bastogne. The general, we didn't know the general, they just told a German general, you probably have seen it in the paper somewhere, told him where he could go and kiss. And he told us, says, soldier, y'all have been better off if you stayed back out the way. He gonna be coming to us. I just told him where he could go. Well, sir, we're gonna die one way or the other, so we might as well die with our buddies. So he said, okay. First thing, they started shelling and hitting us. They even threw the coffee pot at us. But we made it through because all of a sudden here come Patton's tank up there. Broke through and got through it and went on, had the Germans on the run. And he wasn't in the front tank, but he was in the commander was back. And here we were. Major got out the tank, said, "Hey soldier, take your men and guard this tank. They've been driving all night long. They're tired. We got to have some rest. We've been driving for 2 days." And in the military, I knew a bunch of little 3-letter words. And I'm not going to say them. I told this major he could take that tank and it's bigger than we are, and he can't protect himself. How can we do it? And I used about 10 of those 3-letter words cussing at him. He said, "Soldier, I'll bust you tomorrow." I said, "Go ahead, I'll be happy, because then I ain't got nobody to worry about but myself." I had sergeant stripes on them, those somebody else's stripes on thing. And he thought I was sergeant. I wasn't nothing but a private. And because I said, then I wouldn't have to worry about all these other fellas. He said, "I'm going to bust you." I said, "Please do, and then I can go home." But he did. He sent the word. I don't know what sergeant I was, but he was busted. So I was sergeant, and like I said, I'd become a private, and I was made next day a PFC, personal friend of the colonel. But then we went on back. They had gone on Region 4, and we had to get reorganized. And it was only 17 of our company living.
Out of how many to begin with?
Of 150.
Just so I'm clear, so you made it back to Bastogne before it was relieved by Patton?
That's right.
And so you were there when Patton's tanks came to relieve Bastogne?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
I was there. Well, I was fighting. Hell, they throwed everything, even kitchen sink at us.
Mm.
But when Patton's tanks come through there shooting and with things like that there, then they got them on the run. We didn't run after them. I stayed there. I'd had enough. And I was cold, hungry, hadn't had nothing to eat for now 4 days. And you would eat snow and boiled onions. That's the reason today I can't eat onions, because I'd eat onions.
When you got to Bastogne, did they give you a gun and put you back on the line, or did they?
And I got marching on. We organized, all of us, the 99th Division did. And I don't know how they done it all, but we organized, and then we was marching to the Royal, and that we was on a break, and I smelled some food being cooked over there. I hadn't had anything to eat, like I said. I went to look about it. They were fixing a meal, and don't ask me otherwise. I just know it was a machine gun out there, and all of a sudden that exploded, and it wounded me. I was laying out there, this leg all tore up, and I had bandaged, stopped the bleeding, my hands. Get that Rhonda, she'll get it. And all of this going on, I passed out, and I come to that the 122nd Medical Corps, what picked me up, brought me back in and out of conscience. And next time I woke up, I was in a room like this room here, laying back like this here. And I said, "Thank you, God. I wanted to come to heaven, and thank you for answering my prayers." And I looked, I said, "I know I'm in bad shape, but at least I'm with you." And at that time, the nurse said, "Bing, Bing, you finally woke up." Like that there. I said, "I thought I was in heaven." "No, you're still in France, a hospital here, and we're going to be shipping you out tomorrow over into Great Britain. I don't know how about you going over there, but you can't go back on an airplane. We're going to have to put you on a hospital ship." So I went on back, while I went over there. Here comes this, about 2 days after I was in the hospital there, laying down. They says, here's Major, and what you call these people that looks for people who've gone missing in action, and AWL. I was marked AWL. Mm-hmm.
Because you've been wounded and were being shipped back to England?
Huh?
This is when you were being shipped back to England?
I was wounded, and it was AWL, and he looked at my chart. He said, how can you be AWL when you've been in the hospital for 10 days, all wounded and everything? And said, they got you missing in action on the 15th, and you was picked up by the 122nd Medical Corps on the 12th, and you was behind the lines. He said, I'm dropping all this here. You haven't been the AWL. Your medical record shows that. And so they found it, and they proved I wasn't. He did. And even though I wasn't there, they said, asked me where was I. I said, well, I thought I was in heaven. Everybody else been dying around me. But heaven was so beautiful. White walls, everything. And looked down off my bed. There was this woman in a white uniform cleaning up. I said, thank you, angel. And they said, well, you're not dead. You just come out of your coma. I said, no, I'm in heaven. And they told me, said, no, you're in the hospital in part of Paris, France. He called it some kind of name. Never stuck with me. Next morning they shipped me on over into Wales, and that's why we cut the hospital ship about 10 days later. I don't know the ports and things over there, but I know I come back and I landed at Staten Island, and when I passed by the Statue of Liberty, oh, it looked so beautiful. I know I was home, headed to American soil. And then they put us in a hospital on Long Island, and what is Long Island? I think it's Long. I don't remember much of that because I was still in a daze, like, and when I really got to my mind, I was on a hospital train going to Camp Swananoa. It's in North Carolina, right outside Asheville, North Carolina. But Mr. Atkins was the conductor on that train. You know, he knew my mother and father knew me when he seen the Bingler on my tag. He said, asked me, did I know W.R. Bingler? And I said, yes, that's my daddy. He says, he told me his name, Atkins. I said, you want to live over on 7.5 Street? Yeah. I said, you one of his sons, W.R.? I said, yes. He said, well, when I get this train down, I come back, I'll tell you, Daddy. So they stopped to put on water that was being pulled by a steam engine. He called and told my dad and mother that I was alive and I was headed. He said, I couldn't tell you, can't tell you where I'm taking him to, but he's alive. He's not, won't be too far from home. And that's how I got back down to Camp Swananoa.
Had your parents been notified that you'd been wounded before then, or?
My wife got a telegram from the government that I was missing in action. And I had never had anybody write and tell her anything, because see, you couldn't tell her that I'm alive and I'm doing this, that, and other, even though, like I said, I knew I was alive, but I was conscious, but it didn't have all your brains. You know, you wasn't thinking clearly. It was just so nice to be alive and be on friendly territory instead of having to fight for your life. But they give me something to eat. Sauerkraut. And from that day to this, I still don't like it. But anyhow, then there now, about 5 or 6 days, and my mother, being a nurse, she had made it. In the meantime, I'd gotten married just the day before we shipped out to go overseas, and she said that's the reason I was married. But I had worked it so that my mother got an allotment and my wife both got allotments. I only had $7 a month to spend. But why can you spend on any money when you're fighting for your life on the front line? But that didn't bother me. I was just so happy to be alive. And I was glad, and right today I'm glad I'm still a good Christian. As now, as I said, I come back from Camp Swananoa. They give me 5 days, and I come on a path up to my wife, and on a train she walked right by me. Mm-hmm.
When you came home?
Yeah, because I was there, helped holding a little baby thing while this Navy woman coming from there. She's going down to Norfolk. Her husband's ship had come in, and she had 3 kids, and I was holding the 2 while she was getting the 3rd one off. And wife walked right on by me. I said, "That's my wife." And I said, "Friedel," she stopped. She looked back. "That you, Monk?" "Yeah, honey." Boy, she took off running after me. See, I'm only weighing 97 pounds now. When she last saw me, I was over 200. Not 200, but 150. Anyhow, about that time the woman had gotten off train, and I'd give it to them. I said, "Right over there, go over there, that's where you catch your train." And she says, and I said, "This is my wife." And she told me, said, "Thank you, ma'am, for your husband. He helped me take care of it. I'm going down to see my husband. He's down in Norfolk Navy Yard. He's wounded. So I'm going down there to see him." And she took on off. My wife didn't even recognize me. I was bald-headed, 97 pounds. Had a bandage still on my hand. But I was there for 3 days, and then I went back there, and my mother had fixed a house so I could see, she could see me and help take care of me. She didn't know how bad I was. And like I said, and my wife and her mother and father was there. So we had a family reunion, but I had to get back to the camp out the Swananoa. I got back after about 4 days. That's just outside of Asheville. And they sent me to Camp Pickett. And I was at Camp Pickett when the war was over. They were working on me. They kept me about 10 to 15 days, and they give me nothing to wear except what I had on, the uniform. It says, you're discharged, and wrote on my discharge paper, give it to 100% combat disability. I got that in the other room there. And I come on home from that. But before then, they had given me a 10-day leave. Back in those days, you didn't go nowhere. Here I was hobbling along. They picked me up, woman picked me up. She was headed to New York. Her son was in the Navy, and the ship was coming in. And she brought me all the way home. back to my house. She went out the way and brought me home. But then I had to still go back and, like I said, and get, that war was over while I was at home, that thing. Yeah. I couldn't believe it, but they said it was, and I know I've been through hell and back. And if you don't think something like that, I won't make a Christian out of me. I don't care. Right now, I am a chaplain for the wounded soldiers, and I talk to them. They talk to me, but I won't talk to other people because I had been through. The first person I run on was my nephew, Bruce Eads. He just got back from over in Cameroon. What's these islands over in Japan? Starts with a C, Canberra, whatever. Anyway, he just got back. He was ready to kill himself. And I said, "Oh, why don't you ask God for help?" "Oh, he's too busy." I said, "He's never too busy. I don't know how to pray." I said, "You know how to talk, don't you?" That's what it is. There's only one God and one Jesus. There's a lot of denominations. So don't knock anybody's denomination. Be willing to help. And that is what I'm doing today in the DAB, chapter 33 of the DAB, right here in Charlottesville. I go around, if they tell me, I just lost two brothers last week who was in the service, Bob Wetzel and Chubby Prophet. And let's say Chubby and I grew up together over there. But anyhow, you teach these soldiers today, pray. You can talk, can't you? Just ask how you feel. Let it come from your heart. Don't ask for be greedy about it. Be thankful what you got. And they start listening, and you'd be surprised how many people listen to you and take that. But being a chaplain, I enjoy it because I was brought up in a Christian home. And I have Christian people like Rhonda here. She's a good Christian. She helps people do for things herself. She worked and helped me with my wife when she was dying. And I've seen death more ways than one. And I don't talk about it because when some of the battles I was in, they had women, girls in there from 10 years old, about 45 of them, that distracted American soldiers, and they were naked on the front lines. They didn't have people there, so they put the women out in front of us. And I hollered in German that hit the ground. And they all fell, and I opened up my machine gun. And I let them go back. So I took these extra socks and took off all but one, knocked them off. They was about naked. I give them some socks so they were barefooted and naked. They didn't put that in the paper, did they? But I seen it. I can't tell you what town it was, but it paid off later because I was saved the same way one time. They hit me behind the lines. I stayed more behind the line than I did in front of it, because that was my job. Was when they coming through, they would know what you know which way it's coming, and if you had that little snapper, you snapped that one time, they knew you was in front of it. And like I said, I spent more time behind the line than I did in front of the lines. But my records don't show nothing. I have never seen my records. I don't know what they say I was. They may have said I was a AWL, but I never was. And I have papers to prove that.
That time where the women were in front, they were in front of the Germans.
Mm-hmm.
So the Germans were using them as human shields.
Yeah. This was.
Where was that? Do you remember? Like, was that in Germany or?
No, that was in Luxembourg.
Ah.
Down in there, because see, they had been defeated. You know, hadn't been defeated, but I mean they were fighting with allies too. But the only way they could get the American attention and develop anything, they put these naked women in front of us.
So that you wouldn't shoot.
That wasn't told in the war. And I guess maybe I'm one of the few that's seen it, because my buddy, my assistant machine gunner, he was killed later. Rodney Sheffield from Greenwood, Pennsylvania. But that's a little bit of what all I went through with. Now, you got any questions for me?
I do. I do. My understanding was that you were a prisoner of war for a while. Can you tell? I don't think you've told us about that time.
Well, yes, because that is when I found out. That was before I seen the naked women. I was that way. I was picked up and went in Camp Duesenberg. That's in East Berlin. And the way I got out, and that you won't find records of this, was that the Americans the Germans would feed us if we'd help fill the holes up so that tanks and trucks could get to the front lines. I was captured while I was on patrol behind the lines.
I was going to say, you were captured. This was This was after the Battle of the Bulge.
No, it was after.
It was after the Battle of the Bulge. Okay, and so you're back on the line, and you got captured. Tell us about how you got captured.
Well, behind the line, being because Americans were going to come through this area, and they didn't want to know what they was following. I was on what we call a combat mission. I was a expert infantryman, had qualified to be behind the lines. In other words, I'm like a Navy SEALs, a Marine, so forth. Back in World War II, we were called Cavaliers. My company, we called them Cavaliers. And I was behind and I was captured. And you were fighting for your life. So they took me to Camp Duesenberg, East Berlin. I was in cage 18 was the locker number. And the whole thing I'd done, they said, "All right, soldier, what's your name?" B7540. "I want your name." B7540. He hit me upside the head with the gun. And I almost got my killing done in, but he didn't hit nobody else. And then working on the road gang, they'd give us an extra sandwich if we'd help them fill the holes. I was able to walk and do things like that in the Army. I'm not proud of it, but you have to do what you have to do to save your own life. And it's the same thing go today. You have to work to be able to survive. It doesn't matter what you're doing, be proud of what you're doing. But I was there working on the road gang, and they give us that extra sandwich if we'd help fill the holes. So we were there, and then that day I escaped. The P-38 and some bombers come in, they flashed down on us, dropped bombs. They hollered in German, every man for himself. That's when I took off running. And I worked myself back to the front lines. And that's how, in a way, I got back with the company, and they said I was AWL. I wasn't AWL. I was back, and then that's when I got wounded between the lines. But see, my records didn't show all that. See, you have to be 30 days in World War II. I was on there 17 days while I was back on the front lines,
As a POW.
POW.
And how long did it take you, once you escaped, how long did it take you to get back to our lines?
That's when I was wounded. I don't know. No, I can't tell you much about that because, like I said, I come back and knew how to, and the German took care of me, and I had some soldiers that had coming back. You had these big chocolate bars. That was a meal, 500 calories, and I had 2 of them in my pocket because they gave us those bars to work, you know. And so I run that night. I was hiding, and the woman who was sympathy with American, they took us in there and hid us between walls, and I give her one that bars of candy. And they said, "What's your name?" I said, "Everybody called me Bing." And then I fought that, and then I come on down the next day. We traveled at night, and we went and got in this hay barn, and it was 7 of us. We got in hiding under the hay and stuff, and the German come down. They in there, they won't come out because we was in there. That's right. They tried to get us, and we had got that 45, that Lubers at least, and there was 5 of us, and we killed the colonel there. But the thing of was, they set the barn on fire. But so that's right, 3 of them, and that's like I said. I come out of that fire barn. I don't know whereabouts I was, but I know which way I was supposed to go. And I traveled at night. And that's when I hit the lines, and then that's when I got wounded by our own artillery. But I don't know what my record says, because they said, "We don't have no record of you being a POW." But I know where I was. But I was missing in action, because they had the government guy looking for me. But the record shows that they found me behind the line unconscious, you know, at the 122nd Medical Corps found me. I lost conscious because of loss of blood. This leg here was all tore up in my hands, but they didn't have no food either. But that German woman, when I give her that bar, she hid me.
So it was a German who hid you?
There were 3 of us. So one of them was from Alabasta, but he died 2 years ago, Thurl, and he was with me on that.
Were you surprised that she didn't turn you in?
When I give a candy bar, I want a friend. He had my need. Another thing about on the front lines, like at we have shot cows and killed the cows and cut it up so we could have something to eat. I didn't do the cooking, and I didn't do the shooting. Because they shot it with us because we was cut off. You'd be surprised how many times in 99 people on the front line get cut off, and they ain't gonna bring those food trucks up through that. And I said, they asked me what I have for supper. I tell them I have soup at 12 o'clock at night in the dark, and you got your mess kit. They give you something to eat. It's all poured in one thing. What is that? It's sort of soup. So I don't talk about that. I don't about being POW. because they told me, I talked to the guy that's in charge of all that. They have now changed it. Anybody at POW one day now can be. It wasn't back then. My records don't show it. They just shows I was missing in action. And that's the reason they was looking for me.
But when you escaped, when the P-38 came by and was strafing, the P-38 was strafing and bombing your position, right? You mentioned Lugers. Were you able to grab firearms of some kind when you escaped?
No.
Or?
See, everybody hit the dirt,
Mm-hmm.
and they killed a lot of the guards. And
The plane did?
Yeah.
Or the POWs did?
no, planes
Plane
come
did?
down straight because they could see us working on the road. They didn't know whether it was Germans or who. There was people. That's what they told me. That's the reason I talked with Rick here. He said, we may have killed some American, but we can't tell American from anybody else when you're there up in the air. And another thing, one of the worst time, scaredest I ever got, and if you don't think you'll get scared, you'll say your prayers 2 or 3 times. When you see planes, Luftwaffe and the P-38s up battling over top of you, find the biggest tree you can and hug it. You think I'm crazy, don't you? Because those big trees got limbs. Those 50 caliber shells got to come down somewhere. I've had them hit me on the head, and I thought it was going to break my neck. Put on a steel helmet. You know, on the front line, you'll wear that steel helmet. And hit you, and you hug that tree, and you get limbs like that falling down at you. But another thing, when you on the front line, you find a big tree and hide by it. That's why you sleep by it. The tanks and things ain't gonna come up and knock down a big tree. They're gonna dodge it if you can. I learned that. That's the reason you learn these things there, and also you learn the noise of the shells and things coming over. How each one, whether American, and even American shells I've seen hit some of our boys because they didn't have quite, we had gained further than what they thought had been given. And, you know, that shell is just a mistake. But that was while we were advancing. I'm just, this, you know how I got back, but I fought for my life. I didn't kill anybody. They just died from the wounds. It's either you or him. And you take that bayonet, they told us how to fight. I learned how. And I asked, like today, I asked God forgiveness because I have killed. And I heard these people going around shooting people. He's hurting. He should have already been in the hospital because when they get a certain way, you don't have any sense. You on the front line, you've got military training to be nuts, but the government will teach you how to kill. They'll take care of you, you know, for that concern when you come back, but they don't teach you how to get over it. And what I done, being I'm a chaplain, I go around and tell them this. There's many religions, but there's only one God and one Jesus. You carry them in your heart in prayers, you'll be blessed. Because that's what God wants you to do. He wants you to help one another. And they also, maybe the reason I'm here, the Bible said, that in the scripture in there it says, that whoever believes in him will have everlasting life. And when God is ready for you, he'll take you home. And that's the way I talk to these soldiers. I talk to them, they get all upset when they come back here 2 years ago. Boy, did I have a rough job. But they would listen to me because I had already been through it. Because Bruce Eads, my nephew, said, "This is my Uncle Monk I'm wanting to talk about. He saved my life." Well, you remember Bruce Eads had a speaker now.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I met him at the
Yeah.
American Legion, yeah.
Well, see, he was ready to kill himself, and I talked him out of it. It kept him thinking how fortunate you are. Now, I don't expect it to put this on the camera. I don't expect people to believe everything, but I was there. I waded snow knee deep. I've waded snow waist deep, and they dragged me along because I couldn't get my legs up. I've seen the soldiers disappear in a snowbank because of drift. It was a hole. We rush over and clean the snow up and try to get it. Maybe he's suffocated. We started blowing him. He's alive. People won't believe that. But everything, when the snow drifts up there, everything is level. All of a sudden you're walking on the front line. Maybe the tanks are gone before you. That's okay. All of a sudden over here you see when you come around 30 feet, maybe 40 yards. 40 yards is a long ways in snow deep. But you go over and try it and you get him, pull him out of that hole because he done gone down there in the snow, done stepped in the hole. We lost quite a few people in the snow. They don't tell you about that. But I've seen it and I helped. And God has blessed me by helping save other soldiers and things. And that's the reason I don't know what I'm saying half the time here because I've had such a mixed life up on the front lines. I was a combat ranger. That's what they call a SEAL. I stay behind the line, have to fight. And if you think it's easy to kill somebody, you can't. But it ain't hard to kill when you see either you or him. And he's already shot your buddy. Maybe your buddy's over here about 10 yards away from you, but he's your closest buddy. Only person closer to you is your ammunition barrier and your assistant gunner. And you run into things in the war up on the front lines that people don't know about. How you survive. Why'd you climb a tree? And why'd you hide in you laid on the creek bank because that's the safest place. They don't see you laying. They ain't going over close to that creek, but yet you over there laying up against the bank. You don't have no ammunition, but you know why your gun is. You don't hid that. When you get ammunition, you go back and get it. Or somebody, you tell them what's that. Life on the front line is hell, and hell can't be no worse. I lived through that, and I don't want to go to hell. That's the reason I'm trying to be a good Christian, and I believe in God and Jesus. You can call what you want to call as many denominations, but it's only one God and Jesus, and learn to love Him, and do what you can, and have faith. Don't talk it, do it. And as I've been here, I have given people food and given money that they needed because they have, I don't have a whole lot, but they give them, and then it has come back and paid tenfold, come back, kept me, cut my grass, and maybe do something else around here, help me clean a room or paint something to show their appreciation. They said they can't find a job. I said, well, you're a soldier, you shouldn't have. They don't care about us. They do, but you haven't filled out the proper papers. That's wrong. You can only get waited on if you fill out the proper papers. I'm looking in today to them call me. Something I ain't done right, but I know I fought like hell to stay alive. And I'm proud to be American on it. And I'm proud I was a soldier that knew how to fight. I had soldiers come to me that was getting ready to go to Vietnam and places. And I had Joel Jenkins, I don't know whether you know him or not. He's a chaplain. He's a military chaplain. He was getting ready to go into war down in Iraq. And I told him what to do. Don't be a dead hero. And he said it paid off more than once for him. And how he said he'd been shot down because he was flying in combat, going to the wounded soldiers and so forth. We haven't had a big time talk, but he said, now I know why you wouldn't talk to me. There's certain things you do. And I don't care what your religion is, but thank somebody, your friend, your God. Thank them for you being here. And thank you for your health. And thank you, and I hope this will help some soldiers or somebody, some parents understand. They give their son. I turned down a lot of medals I've been offered. And the reason I turned it down was this. Give it to the mother of that soldier whose son was killed. They deserve it, not me. I'm back here alive. I know that's stupid talking. Yes, I'd like to have medal, but I think the soldier sitting there ain't got any legs. They ain't give him that medal. They said they're going to do it. Maybe they have give it to his mother, who has worked on to keep him alive. He went home, government sent him home, and they do the best they can. But Mama gave me that love, sweet care. And that's the reason I can feel for soldiers. That's the reason I'm a chaplain now, sir. I love talking to the soldier. I don't care what your religion is. It's only one God and one Jesus. And the Bible says, whoever believes in me shall have everlasting life. Keep that with you, because you believe in it. But do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. Only do it with a smile on your face. That's what I teach you people working with me at the university. I said, treat them the way you'd want to be treated if you was down in their territory. Only do it with a smile on your face and a thank you. And you can work for me a long time. So I've said all right. Now your turn to ask questions.
I did have a question, which is, do you still feel the physical effects of your wounds?
Yes.
And where were you wounded again, sir?
Well,
what parts of you were wounded there? Where did you take the shrapnel?
I'll tell you, I got right through here, all through here, and all this thing. They said I got about 2 pounds of lead shrapnel still in my body and my hands. This here, every now and then the piece will work itself out. They couldn't take it out. So I got discharged. They took 3.5 pounds of the metal out of me. But I don't talk about it.
And I think you said, I'm not sure if you said on the tape that they said you wouldn't walk again at some point?
Yes. They said I'd never walk again. Show you what faith my wife had in God and me. She not only got me walking, she got me running. She got me to be a good Christian. I come home, I wasn't so much of a Christian, what I've seen. I could use those 3-letter words. I was shaking a hand with the preacher. I remember Reverend Carter. I was shaking his hand, and I was using those 3-letter words at the same time. My mother and my brother and my sisters, they were about ready to pass out, and I didn't know I was cussing. That broke me of cussing. But That's what I try to tell these soldiers coming back. I don't care what your religion is. There's only one God. And how you believe, fine. If I can help you, I will. If you can help me, or somebody else, it don't have to be a soldier. We got elder people. I carried mail for 30-some years. I couldn't walk, but I drove my mail car, and then I was a rural mail carrier. I see these old people there, they had money, but they couldn't get it. I'd get the money, and I wouldn't get the money from them until I took the groceries back to her the next day. Today, if you do that, they'll fire you. But I took care of the elder people. I checked on them. So that was the mother and father and the son out working, cold weather, didn't have no wood or coal. I made sure that I took coal because I was a rural mail carrier. I took coal, I took wood in the house. Maybe they didn't have no water. I took water from the spring. Sure. I didn't have to do it every day to the same people, but I watched the elder because God took care of me. He watched out for me. I would tell my wife about it, and even on Sundays, say I had to work 6 days a week as a rural courier, and went all down through Keene, Esmond, Carter's Bridge, all through that. And I had a lot of people. I didn't know I was doing it to his mother, but the curator of Thomas Jefferson, Monticello, Curtis Thacker, I would stop every day to make sure his mother and father had wood and coal in there, and also had food they could eat. That's just one place. I can name you 50. Ms. Wingfield, Tom Wingfield's mother. They was back off the road, and nobody to watch out for them. I went down and made sure, especially in the cold weather. God has blessed me for that. That's the reason I'm here today. Because, and then in the summertime, they'd give me groceries, tomatoes, corn, and stuff like that. I'd carry his Sam down here. He can't work and do anything. They don't have no food. Yes, you do. It was given to me, and I give it to them. I give it to different ones who was willing to try to help themselves. I never had to worry about a flat tire. You know why? I get up there, so get it away, Bing. You too old. You're crippled. Let me change it. I had two guys lift up. I didn't have a jack in my car. I forgot and left it. They held it, and I had a flat tire. Two of them lifted up and held it up in the air, lifted off the ground, while the other one took a wheel off and put the oven back on, and they let it back down. And I says, how much I owe you? You've been taking care of Mom and Daddy for us. You've been taking care of Arnie. Like that. You've been taking a good friend of Ms. Wingfield. You think you're going to pay us? We can't never repay you. But you see, that come out of service with me when I got on. I didn't think I could get the route because I was a wounded veteran. They put me up, went around. And I'd travel from Charlottesville to Red Hill, down to Keene, come back up through, went over by Bloom, places like that there. There's a lot of people living there. Back when I was carrying, they don't, today they have a lot more chance. But back in that, 30 years ago, they didn't have the thing. They couldn't get jobs, but yet I made sure they had wood on the porch that they can last them, in this wood box they call it. Then Why did it take you so long to get around the mill road? Well, I lied a little bit. I bet you I had more flat tires than anybody else. But see, they wouldn't say anything. You say, well, I had a flat tire and I had to change it. No, I was down there carrying Miss Wingfield some, made sure she would have something to eat and had a fire in the wintertime especially. You do unto others you'd want to do unto you. You help people. That's the reason things, I don't expect people to believe me, but I know I've done it. God knows I've done it, and God has blessed me. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for God.
You said you married your wife just a day or two before you went into service. Is that right?
Yeah.
Had you known her a long time before you married her?
We was high school sweethearts. Mm-hmm.
And what was her name, sir?
Her name was Fredell, Fredell, and she came from up here at Colesville, and she moved to Charlottesville, and she was 13 and I was 15, and she had a hoe cake down the Alma County building there, was Lane High School. I went to the old Midway, that was up near the tracks, and I would have graduated from Lane High School, first people from there, but I was drafted into the war. I wasn't drafted, but I went into the war instead of my brother. But I learned how she was behind the steps, like had a hoe cake and some jelly on it. And I says, "Man, what are you hiding for? I'm new here. I don't know nobody. I'm scared." And she's from the country. And see, they don't, way back in the country, sticks. So I said, "You hungry, aren't you?" I got something to eat here. There was a hoe cake with some jelly on it. She had brought it from home. That's all they had. I took her there because I had been keeping up the cafeteria plumbing on it. Didn't charge them anything. They give me my meals. I was going to school. And so I took her back and I said, "This is a good friend of mine. She hadn't had anything to eat for a couple of days." They fed her and give her some food to take home. How can you ask better? Mr. Walker was the principal at that time, and he heard about it. He said, "I love you, man, for being so kind to other people." But I've done it with a smile on my face, and I'm still doing it today. And for your information, you probably heard me say this before. Three things I asked you for. I work for me. Number one, you don't lie. I don't care how bad it is. If you lie about it, I won't have no more belief in you, and I won't have no use for you. Number two, treat the people the way you'd want to be treated if you was in their shoes. Also do it with a smile. Number three is the most important. Help those who needs help, and do it with your own free goodwill, and say thank you at the end. Say thank you for letting me help you. You can work for me because you don't lie. You made a decision, and you told the people you're welcome. Have you ever thought about that? How nice. And when you need help, that's the reason everybody wants to work for me. That's the reason I've been working at the university for 81 years, less than military time. Take 5 years off of that. I started up when I was 10 years old as a water boy. And I was next to oldest of 9. So I've had a good life. And I took a lot of y'all's time, but I took that training with me into the military. And I had a lot of soldiers thank me for saving their lives. Another thing, when you're in the military, And, you know, they teach you how to shoot. But you don't run straight, you run like a snake. And when you hit the ground, you roll to your right or left. You hit the ground here, like this here. Don't mean that you go this way or you go this way. They don't know, they think you're still here. And then they shoot at you. You're sitting with that bipod. I said, you got your machine gun. And you got the 25 rounds. And then when the German girls come out like got that all naked and everything, I said in a German way, words, hit the ground. And they fell, and I opened up the machine gun. And then I took off my clothes and put them on around them. I had a T-shirt and pants, and I had I always carried a size 16 shoe because I had 5 pairs of socks on. And I had 2 dry pairs, and I gave them the socks. And Rodney says, Big, how in the world can you give away all that stuff like that? I said, the enemy, but yet you see, they were being forced to come out here and fight us. People don't take all that in consideration. And I guess that's the reason I'm such a devil today. I love helping people, but I love help those who help themselves. You know, and I see people sitting down on the side of the road, half of them, you know, asking for money. These people who really needs it don't get it. These people that get to go and buy a whiskey and go down the woods and drink. I run rescue squad. My wife and I was a charter member of that. I run it for 12 years. I worked at nights, run because I had to work during the day. I had to work weekends. And God knew what I was doing. I'd go to Sunday school and church, and I tried to live a Christian life. My wife was a wonderful woman. She was a good Christian, and she helped people. She worked in a hospital, worked at nights. I would charge them for anything. That's the reason we are so fortunate to have what we got. I work all the time. I laid all those bricks you've seen, and I painted this house 4 years ago. I still climb that ladder, but I have somebody like Ron to hold it. And she's a wonderful person. She took care of my wife, and now she's taking care of me. So now I'm open for questions.
And we're almost done. You've been a great interview. I guess I just have a couple of last questions. One, I guess, how did your service and your experience during wartime, how has that affected your view of war today?
Well, it taught me how to survive. I come back from war wounded. My wife got me tobacco war. She said, you're going to be running. She made me run, and I hurt. But I knew how to suffer because I had suffered in service hurt. You learn. You take your pain and keep going. That's the reason where I'm at today. You have to learn how to survive, but you help other people to survive because it makes you feel so good in your heart. Now, I don't know how y'all feel when you help somebody. Y'all helped me get this off my mind. But it's so nice to know that there are people out there willing to help. But what will make you mad is hell, excuse my language, worse than that. Let's see these people going around here and asking for money, contribution. They're too darn lazy to work. And they take that money, and all of a sudden you see them over in the woods, and they've got a bottle of whiskey, and they go home at night, they're drunk. That's the reason I don't give it to them. I'll go down and give it to a service that will give somebody something. We have some services that don't do exactly what I want. I go tell them. I found out about it. But I tell it in a nice way and with a smile on my face. They can't fuss at a smile. Then you tell, you're doing a lazy job, but I like you. You know, something like that. But be very careful how you hug them and shake your hands. Because, and Rhonda will know the verse for this. Before I'll hug another woman, I'll ask them, may I hug you? And 90 times out of 100, they'll all say yes. But I want to know that I like them. I want to help them. You're trying to help yourself. Yeah. We have some people out there shaking buckets got more money than you and I both have. And then people condemn the fire department for going with boots. Well, the city don't give them so much money, but that won't run it, so they have to go and get money out from the public. Well, you help them what you can, but don't starve yourself to help somebody else. You got to take care of your stomach, but you don't mean you got to have candy and ice cream. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And Rhonda here, no. We help a lot of people, don't we, Rhonda?
Yeah.
We try. We treat them with a smile and do things for them. And she's a darn good cook. We've made some, Rhonda and I made some deviled eggs the other day with potato salad. And we thought it was pretty good. We work real good together. And we give it to, this woman said she couldn't hardly stop eating because she's eating. This is really good. It's the best I ever had. She went and told two other people, they was here, wanted some of that potato salad. We give it to them. But that's what you call neighbors in love. And that's the kind of person I try to be. I try to be a good Christian. And like I said, my wife made me walk. She was a nurse. And that's the reason and she made me so I could walk. Well, I appreciate football and basketball. In football, I was an umpire. You know why? I got behind the biggest man on that line to do that because if they get him, I got a chance to run a little bit. And you thought you had to run. And I'd done basketball officiating. And I made plenty of mistakes. But I just said, thank you, sir. You're right, I did miss it. But at least you had guts enough to admit it. Thank you for doing it. Well, you can't see everything. So they come back, you be humble, thankful. I guess that's what a chaplain's supposed to be anyhow. I try to be. I don't know how good I am. But, yeah. What's the other question you want to ask me? I think I see something in your mind you want to ask me.
Well, yes, I guess it's my last question, which is for those people who will see this interview in the years ahead, what message would you like to leave for future generations of Americans?
My feeling of this here, don't be too proud to get your clothes dirty and your hands dirty. Help those who are in need and do it with a smile on your face. And at the end of the day, look up and say, thank you, God, for letting me be able to do this and do it in a good Christian way that they will remember to help somebody else that's in trouble. Is that a bad way to feel?
No, it's great.
And if you got more than you can do, and it's still good, don't throw it in the trash. Take it to somebody that can use it. And you know something? I'll have everybody laughing at me. You know why? I show them my picture of my pride and joy. Sure.
That's awesome.
I tell people that, and I show them a picture of pride and joy. They laugh. They start talking to me. I broke the ice. They was kind of down the dumps. They've told me this. You made my day. I can now go home and do things, don't have everything, but seeing you, your pride and joy. I said, ma'am, do you know I'm working on my PhD? You are? At 91 years old, you're working on your PhD? Yeah. I'm so proud of it. And she come and give me a hug. I said, I piled it high and deep, didn't I? You see, you get them laughing and do things like that there, and show them that there and show them. I've seen people, Rhonda can vouch for it. They kind of look down the dumps, and I walk over to them. I don't know, but I have a way. I walk up with a smile on my face. And that's what I get out of life. That's what my wife taught me. That's what God taught my wife. She suffered. But I took so good Ron and I, and she was such a good Christian, and she loved helping people. I wouldn't have had this house, but she knew how to budget money. I worked 3 jobs, and I paid my bills, and things tried to, and I couldn't pay them. I went to the people and told them, here's $5, I owe you $25, but you'll get paid. And when I was out there working, and they accepted, I go over in the poor part of the city and do work for nothing. They found out I needed help. They were right over to help me. It didn't cost me anything to be kind and nice. That's what I got at the wall. Do unto others as you'd want them to do unto you. But don't do it unto, if they do a dirty thing, do it unto him before you do it to you. But that's, I try to, in my life, and Rhonda will vouch for this, and everybody knows me, I try to help people. I don't have money. But I said, look, let's stop just a minute. Let's just be still for a minute and say, thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Or somebody that's got power that made you happy. You can think of him as your master, you can think of him whatever it is. Thank him. And do it with a smile on your face. And that's the way I walk around and teach people. And don't you get mad, but you said, don't get mad, get glad. And I said, and be thankful that you're not here instead of being in some tornado place, maybe some foreign country. Just thankful that you're in America, that people are stingy, but if you go and ask them, and I tried this, sir, I had a multimillionaire, and I took some clothes, told him old clothes, and mud and everything, went up to him, and saw a nice way, I said, sir, I don't know you, and you don't know me, but I know you got money by the way you dress. I'm not asking for money, just if you have it in your heart, if you could help somebody poor. And I says, but before we do that, would you like to pray? I don't know how to pray, and I won't be talking to you. Okay, would you like to talk to Satan? You want to go to hell with me? Well, that'll stop him. What are you talking about? Well, you're so honored you won't give a man a helping hand, so God's going to punish you and send you to hell and send me to heaven. And you know, they'll reach in the pocket and give you something. What I do, I'll take it and give it to a club or somebody who really, really needs it. I don't go and put it in my pocket. I could use it, but I know there's people out there worse than I am, and I thank God every day for what I got. My wife taught me that. That's the kind of Christian she was. As I said, she and I was we was with the rescue squad when they first started shots around. We run from home. I done drove all around the mail road tired, and I run on calls, and I run 2 days rode in to sleep because I would have been sleeping, but I was on call and I was out in an automobile accident or somebody in a hospital and drank the wrong kind of stuff, or at home don't know what they're doing. I enjoy helping people by this enjoyment that you done a stupid thing. Let's get over that and start being wise. You wouldn't have a nickel if it wasn't somebody powerful in this country. You call him God, I call him your maker, you can call him what you are, but somebody, but you have to make your first attempt. God will help you. Go talk to him. And I show God my pride and joy. I don't talk to enough now. Man, it's before you get talking, I don't know how much of this you'll have on the paper and stuff like that there. But I try to do the best I can. I fought in the war the best I could. I'm sorry. I have to think of myself first. You call it being stingy, if you want to. But I've never seen a dead man help another dead man try to get back to life. So don't be stupid. Get yourself killed. That was my number one. That's a soldier over there bleeding. And I said, don't bother him. They got the guns. If anybody goes over, they're going to kill him too. Oh no, they don't want him. He starts after him. He was killed. The only thing you can do is tell them and warn them. Don't be a dead hero. Be a live hero, and so you can help somebody else. Now that's what I got out of the military. Be willing to help other people. That people in this world will take advantage of them. Do it with a smile. That will turn them up more than it was if you fussed at them. Because they can't take that smile. Well, you cut me for being a sucker, didn't you? Next time I'll catch you. I can smile, he can't. So now, I guess my wife taught me to be that way. And she got me running. Well, instead of walking. Because she says, if you run, you don't have to do 90 miles an hour, but you can try it until you get your legs and everything under. And she got me where I could run. Excuse me. Because of her will and her belief in God. As I tell these people, there's only one God and one Jesus. There's many denominations. Don't knock them. Help them. That's the way I do. And I wouldn't have this if it wasn't for people like Rhonda. And people come over. I help people every day. And I get enjoyment out of it. They don't necessarily need money. They need a little cheering up. Or they need a little talking to. So, me and my big mouth. Okay. Now I took up your time.
It was a privilege, sir. It was an honor to be able to talk to you. I really appreciate you taking the time to do it. I really do. And I guess all there's left to say is that on behalf of myself and Parade Rest and Tyler, thank you for your service and thank you for honoring us by talking to us today. Thank you.
Well,